So first, let me introduce myself. To those of you who do not know me, my name is Dwight Williams. I am your 6th District City Councilman. I'm also the precinct committeeman for G612, as well as the captain of the precinct organization for the 6th District. I'm glad everyone came in to meet and talk about your concerns with the 6th District tonight. We will be using these Zoom meetings until the COVID situation has been resolved. The next scheduled Zoom meeting for September will be September 17th at 6 o'clock, same time. So we're going to try to stay within every month within this time period. Okay.
Hey.
Chief.
Yes, sir.
We have several guests here tonight. Janice, can you assist me with that?
Yes. The first speaker will be Chief Brian Evans of the Gary Police Department, and everyone else will follow him in this order. The next speaker is Chief Sean O'Donnell, Gary Fire Department, and then it's going to be Nicholas Elliott. He's a census representative. Then Carol Purtle, if she's online, or her representative, will speak from the Redevelopment Department. Rachel Morgan Caesar is from General Services, and then Derek Hutton will represent Code Enforcement tonight. And the meeting will begin with Chief Brian Evans.
Okay, so we are exactly 16 minutes over. So I would like to get the meeting started. Chief, will you be, you are our first guest speaker. So the residents want to know something about you, a little information about you, and as well as what you plan on doing with the 6th District.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank Councilman Williams for inviting me to the meeting, and I'm glad to see such high participation. It's very difficult for citizens to meet in community meetings now with COVID-19, and that's one of the first things that I want to speak about, even though that's not necessarily a law enforcement issue. It affects everyone, especially the citizens of Gary. As you know, that the numbers of infections are rising. They have affected public safety. They've affected everything that we do, schools, and it is a very, very difficult thing for us to navigate right now because we're ever changing in what we're doing. So one of the things I want to speak about is how COVID is affecting our response to issues in the community and how we're dealing with it. One of the first things that we did when we first went to the mayor's lockdown of the city, which was the most prudent thing that was done, and him immediately taking us to a COVID safety plan, was that the department tried to realize how we could be much more safe when we deal with citizens and when citizens deal with us. So a few things that we have done is we've expanded our online reporting. If you go to the city's website, go to the police department, you can follow the links to online reporting. And you can report everything other than a felony, meaning something that someone has done of a serious nature. You can report theft, you can report all kinds of things on online reporting and not necessarily have an officer enter your home or engage with an officer directly. That protects you from possible infection and protects our employees from carrying an infection away from someone's home and then taking it to someone else. The Gary Police Department is one of the busiest departments in North Indiana. We do a lot of calls. We have many times I receive calls from people asking, what's for so long. And when I look on, I can check actually the call volume from my cell phone, and I can tell them honestly that every officer in the city is calling. We have several calls pending. Not that that's a great thing, but that's just where we are. So online reporting helps reduce the amount of time that we have to spend doing reports that a person can actually report themselves. It doesn't take anything for you to do it other than they either have a cell phone or computer access. And most people have that nowadays. And if you don't, we're certainly more than welcome to come out. The officer doesn't have to enter your home. Our squad cars now are mobile offices by just the way the technology has gone. Officers do everything in their car, taking reports to doing accident reports. And so an officer will come to your house, you can come out to the car, you guys can speak, and he can take your report right there. And he can finish that report at a later time in his car by himself. We've ceased and desist doing roll calls so that we don't increase the chances of affecting one another. We do that actually on the radio, the computer, and we've taken other steps to protect our employees. How it affects the 6th District is that we have asked our our law enforcement partners, which is the Sheriff Department and IUN, to assist us in increasing our patrols in the area. And we're now in the process of trying to use data-driven police practices. So what that means is we check our data through our Spillman system, which is how we get dispatched, and we try to see trends on where police are needed more than other places, and we try to direct our resources there. In addition to that, we have actually we actually had to close the police station to public just visitation, but we do try to service you in the parking lot, and you can call our front desk, come to the station, and we will actually bring the report to you and exchange everything in your car. If you're coming to the clerk's office has a minimum of 2 people in the clerk's office and 2 waiting, and the court has a minimum of 2. So COVID has really affected everything as we're talking about it. We're trying to do everything we can to give you the same level of service that we were, but also keeping you and our employees safe. With that being said, I don't have anything else other than, if I have any questions, I'll wait till the other speakers get done.
Okay, thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, are there any questions that you would like to ask the Chief? I know someone called me today and said there's been several complaints about speeding in the 6th District up and down one-way streets and different avenues. Would anyone like to talk about that?
I would.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Teresa Gullett, and I live in the 519 East 43rd Avenue District, the 6th District. We have had 2 accidents within the last week because our street is a one-way street going east. They're speeding. My neighbor door had her car totaled. They ran into it, got out and ran home and came back and lied and said that the car was stolen. Well, he had on the same clothes that he jumped out in. The other thing is, it's so important that I have children here. So there's like on our block, front part of our block, there are other children that should be able to play wherever they want to, but my children have to stay in the backyard. That's not safe either. I'll get to that next. The other thing we have is because they're speeding from Georgia Street to Broadway to get to that restaurant, it's very unsafe. I was approached this evening because the car was coming so fast down a one-way street. I actually had to back up in the, I guess it's just before Maryland Street. And so the couples that were sitting out there said, well, my car was just hit months ago because they're coming down this one-way street. But nothing is being done. There's only one sign that states this is a one-way street, and it's down on the end of Georgia Street, right on the corner across the street from the church. It says one way. That's it. We need more signs. We need more help with this district. And I'm sorry, I've talked to Dwight about, I don't even know, I have never met my precinct committeeman. I would love to, because there's so many issues out here. But instead, I called Mr. Williams. And right now, even the neighbors, we're kind of upset about not knowing who this person is.
Your address, Teresa?
Yes,
State your address.
519 East 43rd Avenue.
Bill, is that you?
That's me.
Bill Oliver is your precinct committeeman.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Oliver.
Hello, how you?
Well, I'm not doing the greatest because I'm kind of thoroughly upset, and I talked to Mr. Williams about it because the neighbors and we're having a lot of problems within this area between Delaware Street and Maryland. We're having a lot of problems, and then from Broadway to Georgia Street, it's even more problems because we're having so many accidents lately, and it's repulsive to know that the only thing that's happening is the police comes out here, take the names, take the cars, they're gone. But what about the residents? It still affects us. I don't park in the front of my house simply because of the cars. They come down the street the wrong way. So I park in my backyard. but everybody doesn't have an open backyard. My next door neighbor does not have an open backyard. Hers is gated, which means she has to park on the front. Well, now she has to park up in her yard because, like I said, 2 cars have been hit on this street within the last week and a half. And they're speeding. The speed limit is 30, but it's 30 going east. It's a one-way street.
Okay, I heard a couple of things in this, all that's from the police perspective. So with COVID, one of the things that we have all noticed, and I'm sure you have too, that people are driving like idiots. They're driving like all over, and I'm not ashamed to say it. We've increased our traffic enforcement all over the city, and I am out there stopping people, but we have Operation Pullover, which allows us to put more officers on the street just for traffic enforcement. And why that's important is with the way we are manpowered right now, we have to have officers that are dedicated just to doing traffic during their 8-hour shift. That's all they do, write tickets, take accidents. And I will check to make sure that 43rd in the 500 block and Georgia to Broadway on the 4300 block Avenue block is one of the things that we concentrate on more with our Operation Pullover. Signage, though, is also important in your district because, you know, one of the things about your district is you have a lot of influx of out-of-state residents.
Yes, we do.
Some of them may not know, and they may know or they may not know if it's a one-way if it's not very visibly posted. And if it's not visibly posted that there's no parking on one side of the street or another. I do know that there is now someone at the traffic division now, but I can't give you that information. Maybe Ms. Caesar can speak to that when she speaks. But signage is very important in putting it out so people can understand. Because when we stop people, I stopped a young man yesterday, and they actually have no idea that, you know, they're new to the city. They actually have no idea. I'm not saying that's the case here. So I will make sure that we make this area a target of our Operation Pullover to try to curtail that. It's happening all over the city. I'm not making any excuses for it. But the signage is just as important as the enforcement to get the word out that this is a one-way and that you can't park here if it's, you know, parking on one side of the street or the other, so that people can have enough room to get down the street.
Yeah.
Okay. But with that issue, we also had 23-year-old, I want to say maybe last month was when the incident happened. He was riding in the back of a truck with one of the residents on Virginia Street, right off of Virginia Street. And that family has given us hell in this neighborhood. And supposedly they were moved from Georgia Street, but the landlord has been called several times. There's constant complaints. I've complained. I've called Mr. Williams out. Probably Mr. Williams, what, about 10 times?
Yeah.
Well, hey, serve this community. If I got to stay in this community, then if you say you're going to do something, then I need you to do it. Because I keep my property up. I keep it up very well. I try to help my neighbors. So now they're all in sync. This block our area looks good. But we have these neighbors who come outside, put their feces in every place. They come during the night and use the bathroom behind the tree in front of my house. Well, I have really bright lights, really bright lights. And what's happening is one of the neighbors have called the landlord, had him out. He swears he's getting rid of them, but he has to wait 30 days because of the COVID. They're putting trash not just on their yard, in front of their yard, in the alley, but the empty house that's next door to them and across the street. Okay, that's one incident. The second incident is they shoot whenever they get ready. They were carrying rifles past my home through the alleyway, and my babies were outside playing in their own yard, which my yard is fenced. But I have an issue because it's COVID.
The number lock, it powered down. So hit the number lock key.
The kids should not have to stay up in the house all day and play. So me, myself, yes, I know the people that I need to call, and I utilize that every time. because they're shooting. They shoot all times of the night. They have a teen. I don't really know how old he is, but for someone, they said he's about 19 or 20. And we actually have pictures now. He carries a gun in his pocket, and you can see it. And he shoots. So I have an issue with that because my babies have to come out. I have to leave out of my yard and go through the alley past their house. And when the majority of the time, I'll have to come out of the alley, go on 43rd, turn down another street just so they won't know which way I'm going. Because I don't need them breaking in my house a third time. But I've talked, Mr. Williams came out. We showed them the issues that's going on out here. The police did come. Dang, forgot my thoughts. What is it, Mr. Williams? The other police force that I told you we had to call?
Oh, the SWAT team.
SWAT team. SWAT came out. And he had placed the rifles somewhere at somebody's house on Maryland Street, is what the other neighbors told us. So this is a big issue with me. These guns, it's so many kids getting killed that it's ridiculous. I don't want to find my baby laying out in the backyard, or I don't want to find him laying out in his bedroom because my home is high. It's in the middle, so it's higher up than everybody else's. I don't want them shooting this way and my kids are put in danger. So yes, I'm going to call the police. I don't care how many times I'm bothering you at night or in the daytime or whatever. But when I hear the shots, I'm going to call. Okay. And I'm asking the rest of the residents to please call as well. Okay. So I'm really full tonight I've talked to I've worried his ears off. I said, our alley is pathetic. We can't just go down the alley. There's couches, chairs, it's everything. And like I showed him, okay, you see how big my truck is? I have to squeeze through this. I don't even want to go down the alley. But yes, I've called General Services. They told me I had to wait because they were doing the cleanup on 34th. They said 34th and something. I guess 34th and 34th Avenue, that community over there, they were doing cleanup. But no one has gotten out here in this area yet.
Okay.
That's where.
All right. Chief. Chief.
Well,
I think she said 43rd. Even though it's outside the room.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna ask everyone, when someone is speaking, please mute yourself and just listen for me. I'll let you know when they're done speaking. You can unmute yourself. Chief, is it any way that you can stop by our house and just take a look at our situation?
Yeah, I'm going to go by there and take a look at it. I'm also going to run our calls for service in the area to find out when we went by there and what happened. One of the things that's important for all residents to do is to call us when you hear gunshots. Call dispatch, because we don't know. And I need as many people to call that hear the shot, because just because you hear it in your house does not mean it's by your house. It could be near there, but it's no way for us to localize that. So how it works for dispatch is the preponderance of calls. If they get a bunch of calls from 500 East 43rd Avenue, they'll know that more than likely that's where the gunshots are. But when someone shoots, people are calling in a 5-block radius. And a lot of time, no one calls at all. Unfortunately, a lot of people have been desensitized to hearing gunshots, and they don't even call us. And when I mean call us, it's call dispatch. We need that information in order for us to find out where it is and where it's coming from. Or if you see it, you can call 660-0001.
Repeat that, please.
660-0031. 660-0031. That's the dispatch non-emergency line. Let me speak about that. Dispatch is not at the police department. In 2015, the state of Indiana moved away from localized dispatching, so no police department in Indiana has its own dispatcher unless it pays for it. Whereas when you see on your cell phone bill or your house bill, for those of us that still have house bills, the 911 charge is like $1. All those funds used to go to our 911 center for us to pay the salaries of the dispatchers and have the technology in there to do that. Well, in 2015, that went away. So all dispatch is done by Lake County. So
Okay.
when you call Lake County, you're going to talk to a county dispatcher. You call 660-0031, you're talking to someone for the Gary Pod. Now, let me explain to you. They're going to ask you a lot of questions. A lot of people get impatient with that, but it's very important that you answer their questions and understand that while you're speaking to a dispatcher, that person is not dispatching. There's another person on the line that's sending the police. Let me give you an example of how important that is. Many times, people will call us and say there's a suspicious subject on 49th and Georgia. Well, what does that mean? And what can my officers do with that information? Absolutely nothing but get themselves in trouble and harass an individual without any probable cause. But when the dispatcher asks you, what is the individual wearing? What are they driving? What's the license plate number? You have to know that because that gives us the justification to actually encounter that person. If you just say it's a subject hanging out on 49th in Georgia, there's absolutely nothing we can do about that, but get ourselves in a bunch of legal trouble without, because we cannot approach a person on that. We need good information. And the dispatchers are going to ask you a series of questions, but understand they're asking you that so the person that's dispatching the police can give the officer the absolute correct information. Such as you said, man, when you said the young man put the gun in his pocket. Well, that the dispatcher may need to know that. What is he wearing? What pocket did he put? And the officer can go right to him and actually have probable cause to stop him and to actually search him for that. Without that information, we can't do that. So it's important that you give them all the information they're doing. Don't get impatient with them. They have to ask the questions in the way they do. And they're asking so they can give the information to the officer. And another thing about it is they're putting the information in the computer. Our officers can actually see that and refer back to it when they get there. So the longer you're on the phone, the more information you get them, the officer can open the computer up, open the call up, and he can see everything that was said. And he can actually disseminate the information properly by examining that. So 660-0031, you're not calling the Gary Police Department. You're calling
But you keep cutting off when you get to the end of the number. So it's
660-0031.
Okay.
I want to interrupt for a second. Everyone, I'm seeing a lot of people doing a lot of things. Please stop moving. You're making a lot of noise, and it's making it hard for the message to be heard. Go ahead, Chief.
Okay.
I was about done. I just want to make, call the dispatch when you hear something, when you see something, and you do not have to identify yourself. You can say, I'm a concerned citizen.
Okay. So.
Okay, this is the Hammonds. We have some questions for the chief as well. We're Ronald and Betty Hammond. We live right across the street from Will Wallace track field. Mr. Williams, we've met you before when you came to our neighborhood gathering.
Yes, ma'am.
Meet and greet. That's when you were running for office.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a major concern. We had to call the police last night because they over in the field, Will Wallace Field, and they shoot. One bullet has already come through our home. And 2 weeks ago, the other bullet came on our back deck where we sat. It came through our umbrella and landed right next to the chair. This is perilous times we're living in, but this is what concerns us. Is that when we call concerning the bullet that came on our deck, the police officer came out and he was very nonchalant about it. I don't know why he was that way, but he was. I guess it's because it didn't hurt anyone, or no one got shot itself. But this is our home. When they shot through our front window, then they sent out, I don't know, I guess like the CSI or whoever they were, they came into the home because a bullet came through the window and landed on the staircase and took photos and all that. But see, we spoke with the last administration, they did nothing concerning all this. So now we have a new administration, and we want, as citizens and as seniors, we've been living here for 30-something years. We would like to be protected or know who it is that's patrolling our area. That's a very serious thing. And all the gunfire is always coming from over in Lew Wallace Field because it's so pitch black over there. You can't see anything. So the officer will even have to be careful when they come out because we don't know if they're still over there or not. So it's very dangerous in that area. And Mr. Dwight,
Yes, ma'am.
that's for the chief. But Mr. Dwight,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, that is. You know, we've called you several times, and we can't you never return our phone calls. And we would greatly appreciate it, you know, that when we call the office and we leave our number, please, you know, give us a call back, because there are several things that we're concerned with. One is that people hanging out over at New Wallace High School and the grass needs to be cut. We go across the street, we go inside the gates, we cut all the weeds and everything there. We go across the street, we cut all the grass on the parkway. We do our share, beautify the 47th Avenue area. We beautify that. If you would just, you know, help out.
What number are you calling to reach me at?
Yeah, I got it.
I'm sorry?
What phone number are you calling to try to reach me?
I'm calling you at your office, at the councilman's office.
Because I've given out my personal, hello?
Oh, I'm
sorry?
Okay. You know, I called your personal cell phone as well.
Okay.
And you haven't answered as well. And I also know, you know, when you were here, you told us where you worked and all that and gave all the information to us. So we still have it.
Okay.
I mean, it hasn't changed anything, it hasn't changed.
No, nothing hasn't changed.
Yeah, so just please reply, you know, at least, you know, when we do call. Another thing too, I'll let the chief address, you know, the gunshot. Well, he did address the gunshots. I'm gonna tell you about your officers that came out last night though. They were very courteous. They were very respectful and they were very concerned. It was 3 officers that came out. We called them as soon as the individual was standing by the gate, right at the gate on 47th Avenue, and they shot the gun. We called immediately, but of course, by the time the officers come out, there's no one there. So there's no way we can say, well, you know, they had this on and that on, because they're standing, we just see a glimpse of them. You know, it's like a shadow, and there is no light, so we can't describe the individual. But I just want to commend you for that those officers came out. They were very kind and they were very polite, and they did address the issues on that. And we would like to have something done about that. And the speeding on 47th Avenue, we almost got hit. They come down and they're doing 50, 60 down 47th Avenue like it is the speedway, the Indy 500. And I'm gonna tell you something, Chief. A lot of them are Illinois license plates, and they're speeding so fast. And then you have these trucks, and a lot of them are Caucasians, and they're coming from the east, you know, coming down, and they're speeding. It's just so dangerous out here, you know. So we would greatly appreciate it if you could address that, Chief, with the speeding on 47th Avenue, and put a sign or something that let them know, you know, do something. I tell you what, we can make some money for the city of Gary if you sit on the corner of 47th and Monroe and get every one of them rascals that come through here. We wouldn't have to be worried with any money for our city. That would be a great thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, Chief, can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Speeding is a serious issue throughout not just the 6th district, but throughout the entire city. Since COVID-19 has come into play, we've noticed that there's been this high speeds at all times going up and down Broadway, throughout the residential neighborhoods and everything else. If you can remember, I don't know what month it was, but there was a speeding incident that led to a car going through the old Glen Park Power building. So, I mean, we're looking at addressing
COVID-19, sir. This is with the other administration as well. So it's been going on a long time.
Yeah.
You know, but we just figured with the new administration that you all would act where the other administration did not act.
I have been talking to some people, some in the administration, as far as placing speed bumps throughout 6th district, and I'm still in the middle of that conversation. I know that it won't be a problem placing these speed bumps around churches or around the schools, but then we have to identify other areas that it won't interfere with the flow of traffic. So that has to go through a couple other people. So give me a moment with the conversation. We're not done with it. I will get back to you on that.
Okay, great. Greatly appreciate that.
I want to give out my email address I know that it's difficult for everyone to hear some of the information given out, and some people may have complaints that they or issues they want to be addressed that they may not want to say in an open forum. The best way to do it, so you have a record of it, and I can refer to it because I get forgetful, is for you to send me an email, and I'm going to give out my email right now to everyone so you can email me your questions, and I'll address them. And if I don't call you back, I'll have someone from my command staff that can address it directly. My email address is bevans, that's BEVANS @gary.gov. I received 75 to 100 emails a day, and I get emails from all kinds of citizens, and I would love for you to email me if you have your concerns, especially about the call that you just said where the officer came out and didn't collect the book. Well, he was nonchalant. I want to know about that. And the officers that came out and did, they were very courteous. I want to know about that as well. With bullets and gunshots, if your house is hit, occupied house is hit, we do come out and we do collect the bullet if we can. If it doesn't enter the home, it is not as big of a priority, but it is very important. And that bullet should be collected so that we can send it through the state IBIS, where we can find out if it's of a bullet that matches it is shot before or later. We have that information. With the speeding, as the councilman said, it's happening all over the city. And one of the things about, you mentioned it, you said it, I did, is that we have a lot of out-of-state people in the community. They come here with some of their driving habits. We're trying to address that. But along with COVID, specifically, you have to realize that the courts were closed for 3 months. So some people that would have lost their licenses or forced to surrender the driving privileges are on a backlog, and they probably won't get to court till October or November. And that really affects how people behave when there's not a lot of court going on to hand out those fines and suspend those licenses. But that's not an excuse. If you have a question or a comment or concern, please email me if we don't get to it today, because I don't want to take up the entire meeting's time.
Can you repeat your email again, please?
bevans, that's BEVANS @gary.gov. And it's on the website. If you go to the city's website and go to the police department, it's on there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Chief, we wanted to say too, the bullet is still in the deck. So if you want to come and get the bullet, you can have that. It's still lost in the deck. The officer didn't say, hey, get the bullet out and give it to me. We would have done that if he had said it, but it's still lost in there. So. And we still have the other bullet that came through the window. They're laying on the stairs. So I mean, you can have these bullets. We don't.
What is are you comfortable giving your address, or would you like to email me directly?
Oh, I don't care. I mean, we live out on the corner of 47th Monroe. Everyone here knows us. It's 501 West 47th Avenue.
501 West 47th Avenue.
501 West 47th Avenue, right on the corner of 47th and Monroe. House
What's
Hill.
What's your last name?
Hamlin, HAMLIN, like a piece of ham.
Robin Betty.
Lynn.
I got you.
Okay.
What happened to the cameras that they used to have out that would detect where shootings was coming from?
We can no longer afford that. So that's called ShotSpotter. That's a $300,000 yearly fee. And it only detects the shots, but it wasn't as useful as some of the systems that we wanted to use. So we had a grant that we had to pay for it at one time. And after the grant expired, it's a $300,000 yearly fee. And while it will tell us whether shots are fired, it doesn't necessarily help us in prosecution. We have invested with NIPSCO to get another system called ShotSpot, and it takes a picture as well as detects the shot. We have some in Glen Park. I will not say where. We have some on the west side. I will not say where. But right now, the company is trying to get the software to work correctly. It is not working properly. When they get it sorted out, it will be a great system, and we possibly could roll it out throughout the city with some funding, Councilman. But we're testing a new system that not only detects the shot, but the pods take a picture of everything in the area, and they continue to take a picture as long as the shots are fired. That's much more effective than us just finding out a shot was fired 10 feet from this home, because that does not give us the probable cause to go in the home. That doesn't give us the probable cause to search the home. But a picture of a suspect is a whole different thing, and it will be accessible to the officers right in their cars.
Chief, I have a question. would you be willing to look at the pictures? They are on Jump Drive. Would you be willing to look at the pictures? Because there are pictures available for that family that has been doing the shooting and carrying the guns.
Sure. And I will say this. We would have to know the address for them because in Indiana, this is a gun-free state.
The address is on the picture.
Yeah, I'll be willing to do that. Just email me and I'll make sure we get it. And the thing about it though, you can have a gun at 18 in the state. You can't buy one until you're 21, but one can be given to you. So that, like I said, there are more things that law enforcement has to do, but I would love to look at the picture in the house. The best, most effective way to help your problem, I think, is going to the landlord to get the people out.
The neighbor has gone through the landlord, and also
But
she's talked to Mr. Williams about it. She's gone through him many times, hasn't she, Mr. Williams?
Yes,
But I'm
yeah.
just saying that there's a moratorium on evictions. So until I think until Monday, the 19th, they
19.
won't be able to evict anybody.
Yeah.
And it may continue because of COVID. Nobody has been able to evict anybody.
So
Okay.
it's
And the home that they're living in now, I've been living out here a little bit over 25 years. That house has had, I want to say, 2 murders since I've lived out here and there. So I don't know what kind of almond that house has, but the landlord, he doesn't live in Gary. Of course, he lives in Illinois. So he's really not caring, but I think he's a little bit afraid that, I got to lose this tenant and you're just going across the street. Well, the house across the street from me is empty. So they use the big tree to, do their business. And I can't explain to the landlord, well, you have 1 bathroom in this house, but you need to tell your residents to go to the house and not in front of our home. So, and like I said, we've talked to Mr. Williams about it. We've explained very deeply what's going on. We walked him through this neighborhood. There are homes right behind me that need to be removed or whatever because they're just loading them up in the alley, or they're filling with debris, any kind of couches, beds, anything. And I don't know the address of this one house because if I go out in my alley, there's a truck that's been sitting in this person's yard, and I don't believe it's his truck because it's been there for years and it never moved. It looks like a great big dump truck, and it just sits there.
right.
And it needs to
I
be
have a
done.
question.
We have quite a few special guest speakers on this Zoom tonight, and it is 6:52. We have exactly 5 other speakers coming up. So
Okay.
I don't want to take up the entire night with the chief. I'd like to move on to the fire department next, and then from there, code enforcement, census, and everything else.
Okay.
All right,
Let's go.
Chief.
Hi, good evening. I'm Chief Sean O'Donnell. I'm the new chief of the Gary Fire Department this year. In the 6th district, we do have a lot of good, in the 6th district, we have a lot of good things going on. The biggest one is the addition of the new firehouse that we just opened, Engine Company 5 at 4959 Delaware, or Pennsylvania, excuse me. It sits on both blocks, but the actual address is 4959 Pennsylvania. So out of that station, we have an engine company that runs out of there and an ambulance, ambulance 405. So that's a welcome addition. As you all know, we used to be housed down at the Calumet Township Multipurpose Center for the past few years. So we're real thankful to have that station up and running right now. And shortly, the Gary Fire Department has also been the recipient of from an anonymous donor, Safe Haven baby box. And I just actually received it today, but it has to still be installed. So we're not going to put the cart in front of the horse. But what will happen here is that Safe Haven baby box, especially for young mothers and that don't wish that are pregnant, that have an infant and they wish to give it up, can put it in this box total anonymously, and an alarm will go off, and then the hospital will be contacted, and that's a real big thing around this area. A lot of other communities in Northwest Indiana also have one, so that's going to be huge, and that's going to also be installed at that station in Glen Park. because it's a little bit out of the way and you want to be anonymous with that. Also, this today, quite a few of the firemen and also our on the police department group of us became certified car seat technicians, and we're going to get an exact program together. But what it is for people that want to come and get car seats inspected. We'll either do it by appointment or whatever, but we inspect your car seats for the little ones to make sure that they're in the proper car seat, the car seat's facing the right way, things like that. So it was a pretty intense 3-day course, and at the end of the course, our final skills was over at 661 Broadway today, where we put in new car seats and that at the government building there. The Frank O'Bannon Government Center building. So we put in new car seats. So that's a big thing because it's been a long time since we've had quite a few people, and we did this in conjunction with the police department. So it's just to educate our citizens and just anybody that comes through about car seat safety and making sure that their children are properly restrained. So that's some of the things that's going on in the area. Pretty much for, in the fire department wise, of course, there was the storm the other day, so we were out pretty busy running around with lines down and things like that. So when we do have storms and power goes out, always remember we appreciate the phone calls and that, and you can call. Just remember, stay away from any live power lines, anything that's arcing, and call us. And if you would like my email, if anybody has to email me too, and I'm like the police chief, I get plenty of emails, and I do try to reach back, and sometimes I can be forgetful myself, so I will definitely say that up front. But mine is S. O'Donnell, ODONNELL @gary.gov. S. O'Donnell @gary.gov, and it's also on the website. So anything we can help out with the councilman up there in the 6th district, GFD is always willing to try to do what we can. We do try to offer some community classes right now, as our previous one spoke about with the COVID. That kind of affects trying to do some things in the community and bringing people together for community, just for some general community education, whether it be fall prevention or, a little first aid, CPR, things like that. But we do try to offer that, and once maybe we get a handle on how this COVID's going to change this, I guess our new world we're living in a little bit, to say that, then we can better plan for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for our our fire chief? No. All right, Janice, who's the next speaker? Is Nicholas here from Census? Nicholas?
Yes. Nicholas.
Good evening,
Elliott.
it's Nicholas Elliott. I'm Partnership Specialist with the United States Census Bureau.
No.
Thank you for having us on. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about an operation that's actually happening right now inside of some of your neighborhoods, I would imagine. So we are in the final days of the 2020 census. We have quite a bit of work still ahead of us in the 6th district. As I'm looking at some of the census tracts that sort of make up a good chunk of your district there, there's 4 or 5, depending on how you slice the map here, that make up the district. Obviously, the city itself has over 30 tracts. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to be pretty frank about this, the city of Gary is actually in trouble. When it comes to the census, we have 46.1% of the households or the individuals have responded. And obviously we are looking for 100% because, as you know, or should know, and I imagine most of you do since you're on this call, over $1.3 trillion each year goes out federally based upon census data. Over 500 federal programs depend on this data for its accurate funding, where you're talking about WIC programs, early Head Start, free and reduced lunch, fire departments, healthcare funding, emergency response funding that would, certainly be very, very relevant now in our COVID-19 days. But over 500 federal programs depend on this data in order to fund communities like yours each year, as well as, of course, the congressional representation we have in DC. And so we, I do represent Northwest Indiana, about 11 counties in Northwest Indiana. Gary has been a focus of ours out of the Chicago region, because of the historic undercount of the community. So this conversation is very timely. We have 48 days, actually 47 if you start counting tomorrow, until the end of 2020 census. So what we do after this call is really going to make or break how the community itself can get out there and respond. So in the 4 tracks that make up the 6th district, and again, the district maps don't line up exactly with the tracks, but it's a rough approximation. You have on the northwest corner of your district, you have a response rate of 48%, so higher than the city's running average now. We do have online statistics for that track as well as the other tracks. About 21.6% of the households have responded on the online platform, and this decennial we do have the option of online, paper, and telephone. The paper invitations were sent out in March, and most of you probably saw those. In fact, we are going to send out another 7th final invitation very soon here to households that haven't responded. But if you didn't receive the paper or you lost the paper, you will need to go online or you need to call in. The number I will provide towards the tail end of my time here, and I'm going to make this brief because I know you guys have a lot on your agenda. But if you haven't responded yet or don't intend to do so, or know your neighbors that haven't responded or don't intend to do so, you can tell I live in the region because there's trains in the background here. So there's they will have census takers knock on their door. We have enumerators actually out in the field right now, started July 30th, and those individuals will be going around knocking on the doors. They will attempt 2 times to get a response. Their time frames vary, but I know that they try to keep to normal professional hours of 8 to 8 p.m. So I do know that if they haven't come already, they will be coming if you haven't responded. But you can go online now to my2020census.gov and respond on your own. It takes about 10 minutes to respond. The other census tracks are very close in terms of response. The northeast corner, which is track 123, is 36.5%. That one actually has a little bit of a lower online response platform. And so the difference would be the paper. So other people are predominantly taking on the paper as a way to respond. We have a very, very small turnout when it comes to phone. So I appreciate Councilman Williams and everybody on the call, the Chief Fire Department and Chief Police, talking about the importance of this community meeting. Really can't be overstated, but especially now, I would just send out a petition for all of you on the call. If you've already responded to the census, please tell your neighbors, tell your family, make sure grandchildren in the community are counted. The children are actually, if you look at the funding and the programs that make up those 500 or so that I mentioned, a good third of those impact children directly. And I will leave you with just a kind of a final bit of reflection point, is that in 2010, we had 1 million children in this country uncounted. And we know that because of birth records and things of that sort, and administratively we can connect with other federal and state and local governments, so we know how many folks were born or how many children were born, but we didn't get them in the right place. So the long story short is that money follows the count. So when you think about how important this is, think about how many millions of dollars goes out to communities like yours every year based upon census data. We know historically, Gary was undercounted in 2010, and we want to make a difference this decennial. We have a ton of partners in the city. We have whether they be faith leaders, community leaders, and certainly municipal leaders like Councilman Williams. But we need community itself. We need the leaders of the precinct organizations or the community block clubs, which we are working with Ms. Ola Morris over at the Urban League pretty closely to try and get connected to some of those block clubs. But if you're on this call, that means that you're civically minded and you're engaged. It's really those, and you probably have responded to the census. It's those people that are not on the call, those people that are in the community that are fearful of the data being taken from them, or don't understand that it is, is protected for 72 years. And we have a whole U.S. code that defines the confidentiality for this. Our census enumerators, I will just mention this, I know I'm going to try to wrap this up. Our census enumerators are our front line. We have hired from the community to work in the community where possible, but they protect the data for life. They take a swear an oath, much like many public officials, but we take one for 72 years. We cannot talk about this data with anybody out of risk of being fined $250,000 or thrown in prison for 5 years for a federal violation. This is something that we take seriously. So I know that some people are fearful of government knocking on the door and collecting data, but they need to be reminded that this is important for the community, that it impacts every possible program that you can think of, has a connection to the census data. The schools certainly are probably the most dire in terms of lack of funding from, or lack of census counting means lack of funding for schools. But again, there's nearly 500 programs. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I certainly can take questions if anybody has any, or direct those to Councilman Williams, and he can connect with me after to get those questions answered. I would love to come back in September just to kind of give you guys an update on where you are. I can also, if there's time, I can give you the other census tracts, but we need you all to help, if at all possible, to go out and, whether you're going to church or the grocery or the gas station or the beauty supply store, please tell the folks that you know to respond, because it's, again, it's 47 days away before these numbers are locked in for the next decade. So thank you, Councilman Williams. I certainly can stay on and take questions if anybody has any.
I have one question. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in addition to door knocking, are you also doing phone canvassing? Does that work?
Yes, ma'am. There have been some opportunities for us to kind of what we call pivot in our COVID-19. We didn't certainly build that into our platform, but there has been some phone canvassing. We will, and that goes pretty much for all census surveys. We have kind of shifted to doing phone more than we had before because of the social distancing and things of that sort. In addition, there's also a high chance that some of you might have, if you've responded, somebody might call to verify the data. So they, I don't know what percentage that would be, but there's certainly some folks that will get calls from us, or even an additional door knock, even if they've responded, to just verify and quality assure the data.
Okay, thank you.
Dennis is our next speaker.
Carol Purtle from the Redevelopment Department.
Hi, my name is Miavia Wilson. I'm going to be explaining my SciLab program in Ms. Carol Purtle's stead. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So just to introduce and familiarize everyone with the City of Gary Redevelopment SciLab program, it's basically any homeowners or any persons owning a structure or a building, if they happen to be immediately adjacent City of Gary or redevelopment owned properties that they were wanting to acquire, that they can call the redevelopment office, and if certain requirements are met, have those parcels donated to them. One of the requirements is that the lot be immediately sharing a border with their property. We do have to notify any adjacent neighbors on the other side of that property that could be interested as well. If they are interested, we end up splitting the parcel down the middle. The parcel would have to be valued under $25,000 and not be a part of any upcoming city. But our main goal is just to eliminate blight and get those properties back on the tax roll. So city-owned property lists are available on our gary.gov website under redevelopment. And
Please.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. So a list of our city-owned properties is available on the gary.gov, the city website, under redevelopment department. and under the City Properties tab, it's a downloadable Excel document that can be downloaded and reviewed just to see what we have as a city and if anybody should be interested in certain properties.
Okay. My name is Connie Blair, and I'm in the 6th District. I'm
Mhm.
also West Community Block Club in Junedale area.
Can you
And
repeat that?
we are a newly formed block club.
Ms. Blair,
And yes,
you went out for a second. Can you repeat the name of your block club?
the name of the block club is 51st Avenue West Junedale Community Block Club.
Okay.
And we are a newly formed block club within the last 8 months. And we are in the 6th District between the 52nd Avenue from Broadway to Harrison Street to 47th Avenue. We have a section of areas in the community that we as a block club would love to be able to acquire to get rid of some of the blight in our community. In doing that, is there a limit in terms of how many properties you can acquire?
Yes, ma'am. So all applications are reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Typically, we don't allow for a certain parcel or individual to acquire more than 2 parcels. We also don't want the parcels to exceed 50 feet in width because that is classified as a buildable site. Certainly, you're representing a block club, there are, exclusions that can be applied. So I'd have to review that on a case-by-case level and see what we can do. Also, it has to be City of Gary or redevelopment owned land. Of course, if it's privately owned, we wouldn't have the power to hand that over as a donation.
Okay. Thank you.
Contact number?
Yes, ma'am. So redevelopment's number is 219-886-1531. Again, my name is Niavia Wilson. I'm the acquisitions technician, so I do work directly with Carol Purtle on this. I'm the one answering the phones 90% of the time. So if you do have questions about SILOT, that call will transfer you right to me, and then I can answer any questions anyone would have as far as looking up ownership for parcels and, evaluating what can be done and if these SILOTs can be donated.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
If we have that information already, we can just call you just to verify? Because I've gone online, looked at who's owned it and if they're behind on taxes.
Oh, yeah. So forgive me for not explaining that. We do mandate that our applicants are up to date on their property taxes. That is one of the requirements of the application, just a show of faith that you are going to, the properties acquired, that you're going to maintain them, lawns, making sure the lawns are updated, removal of litter, and making sure the property is up to date. So tax payment is a mandatory requirement of the application process. So we would want that paid beforehand. Did I answer your question?
Julian?
No, actually, I was asking if we already researched some of the properties and found that they were behind on their taxes. Would that help you out a little bit faster?
So 90% of the time, if it's due on taxes, then it's going to be privately owned. So unless there's an error, a city-owned property wouldn't owe any taxes. So that's actually most likely going to be property that's at the tax sale office.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you.
What you're saying is that any property next door to you that is abandoned, that is owned by the City of Gary, this program applies to that property.
Right.
Okay. So if the property next to you is abandoned and you've been taking care of the property, cutting the grass, whatever you've been doing to the property, if the property is owned by the City of Gary, this property, this program here that she's speaking of will help you to acquire that.
And
okay,
if you've been
but I
care of
believe
the
that property's taxes are paid on it. He just doesn't take care of the property. He doesn't mow the grass or anything like that.
Okay.
We normally do it.
Okay, so then that sounds like a code enforcement, which will, that speaker will be coming up behind her.
Okay.
Right. If you do call and you want to call redevelopment or code enforcement, I can definitely transfer any inquiries to code enforcement because, again, unfortunately, who does own that property and I wouldn't have the power to.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Did anyone else have any questions?
Their phone number or email?
Yes.
Okay.
So my email.
Okay.
My email is nwilson@gary.gov. So NWILSON, the @ Gary .gov. And again, our number for redevelopment is 219-886-1531.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
That's it.
What I'm trying to provide to you with this first meeting is a lot of resources that a lot of residents constantly ask me. And when I give them information, they call me back and say, well, I got nowhere with that. So I brought the people you were trying to reach to the Zoom meeting for you tonight. Okay? So you can have a contact and a face. The next speaker will be who?
Rachel Morgan Caesar.
Okay, and Rachel was over General Services. General Services, I'll let her explain to you what they do. Okay?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to your meeting, residents of the 6th District. I'm going to begin with my email and some contact numbers in case you need to reach out. My telephone, my office number is 882-8445. Email address is rceaser@gary.gov. I'm also going to give you the number to traffic. I heard a couple of traffic issues, and these folks can get you what you need in the traffic area, and that number is 881-1310. And the person that you're going to reach out to is the traffic manager, and her name is Vanessa James. So she's going to be able to help with, I believe at the beginning of Chief Evans, some directional signage, one way specifically, but any regulatory signage, no dumping. We are already working with Councilman Williams, as he pointed out, with the speed bump situation out there. There is a policy that guides speed bump installation. So Councilman Williams and his assistant have that, and we are working with him to see if that's something that we can do in the 6th District. I will give you, I'll start with a high-level overview of what's going on right now and kind of work back to just some general areas. Right now, the number one priority of general services is trees. The storm on Monday caused a lot of damage that, in my opinion, rises to an emergency level. From what I can tell and what my foreman, by all indications, Glen Park was not hit as hard as some of the other areas in the city. There are some sections that have been, quite frankly, decimated. We have north of 200 trees that are down, and even within that, we are prioritizing them. We still have trees that are blocking roadways. So that's a priority, not only for motorists, but for public safety vehicles. We've been working with the fire department in that regard. NIPSCO, a lot of alleys have trees, so that's even impacted their ability to restore power to folks. So that's our number one priority right now, is trying to get these trees. We do have help, and hopefully more help is on the way, because we have nowhere near the capacity to deal with this on our own. The tree canopy, the tree covering in the city of Gary is aged. I mean, the city is almost 120 years old now. And a lot of these trees, my house was built in 1915, and I'm confident that the tree in my backyard was planted when it was first built. So we have a very old canopy, and quite frankly, we need a lot of money to deal with this because every storm is just going to continue to bring about this situation. We've had some volunteers, and we've been grateful for that from a variety of sectors, just folks wanting to help out. Some private businesses, and we're hopeful. I know that the mayor has reached out to the state, and I believe that we can expect some assistance from the county early next week. So just to kind of give you on what we're working on right now, quite literally since Monday, there is a very small cutting crew, but we have not been doing any street patching, any debris removal, things that would normally be, that we would do on a daily basis. So that's the big picture. That's what's happening now. So patching, paving is the area that I'm going to move to next. I know that we did quite a bit of paving. I'm sorry, not paving. Please don't say paving. Patching in the 6th district. And I know there's a lot more to be done. We run 2 patch crews daily, every day. In the summer, they hot patch, which is far more sustainable than the cold patch that they use in the winter. But we are out there every day, and Councilman Williams has been very active in advocating for you guys. And I can personally attest to that because I talk to him often with regard to concerns in the 6th district. The paving, I know there was some paving, I believe it was last year, there was some paving done in District 6. Typically, our paving is done through a community crossings initiative from the state, whereby they provide a dollar for dollar match. So this year, because of the COVID and because of the reduced revenue to the state, and it's actually to our advantage, that program has been put on hold. So hopefully we can get our dollars together so that when that paving becomes available, that we'll be able to participate. So there is no paving going on right now in this area. The paving before Mayor Prince took office, there was a comprehensive roads assessment that was done to just kind of guide the paving, the limited paving that the city has been able to do. And, naturally the road assessment focuses on the main corridors. So oftentimes, probably streets like you live on and like I live on will never rise to that. And I just remain hopeful that we'll be able to procure the dollars, generate the dollars so that we can get out into the interior or some of the secondary and tertiary roads because they really need it. So we continue to patch, and that's all we can really do at this point. Debris is my nightmare, literally. It keeps me up at night. And it's not so much from the perspective of cleaning it up. I have about 25 men on my team, 54 miles, increasingly more of which is uninhabited. So, it's really, it's not ironic, but the reality is because the land doesn't change regardless of the population. And what ends up happening is you literally have fewer people responsible for more areas. There's a ton of green space in this city. When we started and COVID just threw everything out of whack, we worked at a reduced, because we are essential workers throughout the COVID. Our team was on the ground. But in order to adhere to some of the guidelines, we were not able to run at 100%. But every day we had a team on the street. That combined with the earlier just torrential rains that we got that really exacerbated the growth, we got way behind in that situation. There was some cutting done in the 6th district very early. I think we were able to get our contractors out as soon as the city kind of officially opened around the 2nd or the 1st week in June. And it's just not nearly enough. It's just not nearly enough. And even with that, we focused on the main corridors. Now, I've ridden through the 6th district, and you guys in most of the areas, you do a very good job. as I was looking at the work of the contractors, plus the work that the residents do, I was very pleased, but it doesn't stop growing. So right now, what we're really trying to focus on are easements, okay, just to really kind of address the safety issues, intersections, signage, hydrants, and things like that. But we are cutting, and we will resume, hopefully, when this tree situation, when we get a firmer grip on that, we'll be able to scale up our cutting even more. I know we've had an opportunity to do some cutting out at the new fire station prior to the grand opening, and we have been able to, I believe, a couple of times cut out at Junedale. So that's where we are, and the need is there. I see it, I know it, and we are aware of it. The debris is a dumping problem. It's not a cleaning up problem. I personally feel that we're in a situation that we can't clean our way out of. And until we can really get our arms around illegal dumpers, that's what's going to pivot us from having to use our resources to literally go get these couches and all of this debris that you guys are referring to. And my concern is we can't even get to beautification because, and a lot of these sites are just repetitive over and over and over. I give Mayor Prince, because he has been clear and he has been disciplined about his approach to dumpers, to the point that he has a hands-on approach to it. It is going to take all of us. It is simply going to take all of us in our communities to be guardians of our areas. And we've got to stop these folks from dumping. I don't have all the answers. We've got plenty of signage that we can assist you with. A cleanup. I heard somebody say something about a cleanup, and we have, with the GO team, been going to various footprints in the city. The 6th district was actually queued up for next week, but because we had to put this week on hold, I believe it will be another 2 weeks before we come to that area. We're going to be able to get a lot done in those minimum 3 days that we spend. But it's not just general services that's doing alley cleanup and debris removal. It's also traffic with signage installation, no dumping signs. Parks is doing cutting. Our partner in Clean Slate is doing litter abatement. And that's so important because of our not having enough people. And oftentimes when we're able to cut a lot, we just don't have the wherewithal to be able to get that manicured look that we would really like to achieve. So they've been an excellent partner in helping us to achieve that. Recycling is picking up the bags, and these guys are helping with the weed whacking, and code enforcement is there to cite violators, whether they're private residences, businesses in the area. So, and GSD is also a partner in this, in stormwater and drain issues. And the thinking, and it's been done before, this is just the latest iteration of it. You guys are familiar with the 5x5, but the overarching goal is to be able to have all of these consolidated resources in one area at one time to really be able to realize a difference. I'm going to be working with Councilman Williams, hopefully in the next few days, so that we can identify a footprint in the 6th district. And I'm sure he's going to be reaching out to you, the residents. We need block clubs and community organizations and just residences to come out and participate. And by that mean, just, clean up around your own areas. If you're able to help us, that's wonderful. But we have seen that ripple effect when we go into the area, that can be contagious as well. So that's forthcoming in the next couple of weeks, and you'll be getting more information about that. And I'm sure you guys will have input on where you want to see. The city has been providing dumpsters. So once we identify the footprint, we will know where to place the dumpsters for our use and for your use as well, if you want to dispose of some things. Let's see.
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a comment.
What about tires that have been dumped from either there were two car dealerships, one that was on 43rd and Broadway, the other one is on 43rd and Georgia. They have dumped so many tires in the yard directly across the street from me that we have snakes really bad.
I know that, and I know that because it's oftentimes my team that picks them up, and some of them, it's absurd, it's criminal, it's ridiculous, okay? And to me, it's beyond code enforcement, it's law enforcement at this point, because no single individual or resident has that many tires. Some of these folks have been caught, and code enforcement is gonna be able to speak more about that, but the cost to the city for that is astronomical. So that goes right along with, and a lot of times there are folks from out of town, but they have been some of our folks as well. So code enforcement is going to be able to elaborate on how, I know they've been very aggressive with that. And, you know, residents, I mean, we've all been here. I live right here in Gary. I'm born and raised here. And a lot of these issues have been ongoing. So hopefully, I hope that we're at a point where we can really kind of turn the corner and pivot away from this. And I just think it's just going to be an all-out effort from not only the leadership, the administration, the council. Everybody has to participate in this, and we have quite literally have to take ownership of our city and our community. But tires are a big issue. They bring them to us, and I mean, the disposal of tires is very, very expensive. We paid north of, it was almost $100,000. I don't know if you guys were aware, but we have been storing them at the General Services yard in violation of all kinds of environmental policies. And I'm happy to report that that's one of the first things that Mayor Prince was able to achieve, is to dispose of all of them. We've been doing a really good job of kind of keeping track of them. We're going through about maybe 2 boxes a month. But every now and then, there's a location like the one you just described that pops up. Glen Park, particularly in the 6th District, is a hot spot for that, as well as some other areas. I believe out in Miller, near the highway, are also. So code enforcement will be able to talk more about it. But that's a huge, huge issue.
Okay, I have a comment for you.
Yes, ma'am.
When will we hold businesses responsible for their garbage disposal? There is a car repair shop that's using residential garbage cans for their garbage disposal.
Right.
I think that's against the code, but they've been doing it for 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely.
And so when do your department hold them responsible and let them know that they are not to use those residential garbage cans?
Excellent question. But just for clarification, that's not my department. That's the next speaker.
Okay.
However,
I got one for
okay. Yeah, that's the next speaker. And it's enforcement. I mean, any law is only as good as its enforcement. We know that. Everybody knows that. Right. So it's something, enforcement is the key. And it needs to be, in my opinion, it needs to be so steep that you don't even think about doing it. So I think we need to really, yes, absolutely.
Well, you know what? You brought up a good point where it should be steep, because this is Julian Carver in the 51st Avenue Block Club. Mm-hmm. We took out a month or so to clean up 52nd Avenue between Broadway and Madison, and it looks good now. Yes. With the help of Councilman Williams, he was able to get the dumpsters out there, and a few of the residents are out there on the weekends cleaning up. And we appreciate the fact you guys were able to come out and initially start getting some of that stuff off of the alleys off of 52nd Avenue and on 52nd.
Sure.
My question to you is, and a comment really, the litter signs that are on 52nd Avenue, they show $100 fine. Really?
Yeah, we have updated those.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
It is. And you know, and I don't disagree with that. And we do
and the phone number on the sign is wrong.
So it's probably very dated. So and that's an easy fix. So that's the traffic. I gave you that number, and I'll work with Councilman Williams. But even in anticipation of the upcoming cleanup in your area, we can address all of those then and even beforehand. But you're absolutely right. A lot of those signs are completely dated. That information has changed from the telephone number to the amount of the fine.
No, I know this is out of your wheelbarrow, but we also had talked about putting cameras up so to keep people from dumping, so we can catch their license plates. I don't know who that comes under. Is that code enforcement, or is that under the police chief?
Actually, that is police chief. Police and our the city's IT department have been working, and that is a part of our team, if you will, to identify those hot spots. We know cameras are very useful, and quite frankly, they have been cost prohibitive, like a lot of things in our city. We have been able to get some donations. We continue to seek those. And even, and I don't know if Chief, I know I was at the community meeting at one of the residents' home about a month ago, and the Chief really emphasized the value of the ring system. So even instead or until we can get the cameras like we want and need, any tool that we can use to help us catch these dumpers is going to be appreciated. But right now, we have a couple. We need many, many, many more.
I have a question, Ms. Morgan.
Yes.
What would be the procedure for the 51st Avenue Block Club to volunteer one camera for 52nd Avenue where they continuously dump at?
Oh, bless you. I don't know, but you're gonna reach out to me via email, hopefully, and we can start that conversation, and then we can share it with the group. But thank you for that question. Okay.
As a citizen, I just want to make a statement. As a citizen and longtime citizen of Gary now, we as citizens have to take the responsibility as well for our communities.
Yes,
and that's why we formulated our block club about 8 months ago.
Okay.
We have to take back our communities, and then in doing that, we also have to be responsible and put out some monetary monies to be able to bring our community back up to the standards that we want them.
I agree.
So we're willing as a block club to donate.
Excellent.
Toward a camera for 52nd Avenue.
Thank you so much. So we'll have
Now, in addition to that, when we did form the block club, we had did some research on some cameras that other communities outside of Indiana were using.
Mm-hmm.
And the cost based on the residents in the area was about, I think, $80 per household. And I think the cost of the whole camera system was around, I think it was $2,000 or $3,000 a year. And where the information was stored in the cloud. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like a pretty decent system. So we just have to get everybody in the community to help pay for that. Like I said, it's only like I think it was like $80 per household, if I'm not mistaken. Sure. Per year.
Yeah, you're right, Junior. You shared that with me earlier. And the thing about it is, it comes on what, a 14-foot pole? What was the pole size?
Yes, I think it was 14.
Yeah. Okay. So I think
and it's able to, and they said they was able to capture the license plates of vehicles.
Right. So what needs to happen, Julian, email the chief of police and share that information with him and see if he can connect it. I know he's really pushing the door ring, the ring bells, because that is connected to Lake County. So anything that is recorded off of that door ringer, Lake County can see it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll get the information to him.
In the cloud system, all right?
All right.
Get the schedule for. Hey, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Who are you?
Hey, my name is Keith. My name is Keith Robinson. I'm also from the West 51st Avenue Block Club too. Okay. You're talking about the signage and the penalty. Can there also be attached where that person's license is suspended along with that increased penalty?
That is something we have to go through our legal department, because that would have to be that would have to be written into the ordinance that has to be created for that situation.
Okay.
And I think that's a great idea, by the way. Not only the license, I think until you get to the point where you make it just not, I mean, there's a reason folks don't dump in other communities. Okay, dumpers dump, but there's a reason, and it's about the consequences. So you really do. I think they should be required to not only clean up 4 dump sites. You know, I think, and Councilman, he's a member of the legislative body. So I hope that they can strengthen the dumping ordinance to the point and be able to enforce it. And I think that that's going to go a long way in helping us to resolve this issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could take a look at that, but see, I realize something. Once we start talking about suspending individuals' license, we're talking about going downstate. So that has to be, we have to look at the state ordinance as well as the local ordinance, and then there have to be some amendments put into place. So it's something that we could discuss. I'm not saying that we couldn't do it, but it's something that can be discussed.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for me?
Sure.
Yes, I have a question. This is Julian again. I know you said the street paving was put on hold, but just out of curiosity, do you have any idea when 51st Avenue will be paved once it starts back up again?
No.
What the schedule is?
No, I
Well,
do
that
not.
community crossing grant,
Yes,
for you to know? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, yes. And no, on 2 counts, and to your point, whenever they reinstitute it, but that is the mayor, who I know has been looking at the roads assessment, but that is a determination that he will make in consultation with the council. So at this time, I don't know.
I have a question too for you,
Okay.
Ms. Morgan.
Yes, ma'am.
We were thinking about, you know, the alley, because we have to come through the alley in order to get to our garage. The grading of the alley. You know, before they had, if you want to have your sidewalk repaired, then the city would pay half and then we would pay half. Well, we've, you know, taken care of that. But what about the alley, getting the alleys graded with the gravel?
You know, we do. Yeah, that is. I'm sorry, ma'am, go ahead.
Because we have big potholes in the alley.
So are they beyond grading? So are you talking about filling, then grading? You're just trying to get a smoother.
Well, it needs to be graded because when you get to the end of the alley, it's a big dip. You dip down. So
okay.
If you can put gravel there and then kind of even it out.
We can do that, and we do that. We use slag material or some of the remnants from the paving that's going on. If they're paving, that's pretty much where the hot mix comes from. So, but yes, that is something. We have a grader, so that's a request that you can put out to me if you want to do that on the email and give me your alley. We'll certainly have someone come out and take a look, and our foreman will be able to determine if that is a candidate for it. We have been able to do some alleys actually that are probably in a lot worse shape than yours. So feel pretty good about the prospects that is something we will be able to do.
Is that Ms. Sparkman speaking about the alley grading? Ms. Sparkman? She's on mute. Ms. Sparkman?
No.
Well,
Yes.
Ms. Sparkman?
Yes.
Okay, we just spoke about the alley grading that we spoke about this last week.
Okay.
Okay, she's going to give you her email.
Okay.
And will you please email about your alley?
Okay, I will. Mary Williams, I have a question. I have reported in the cutting of the weeds in front of the water hydrants and in front of the stop signs on 36 and Ridge Road in Jefferson. It's been reported. How soon will they be getting to that? And the trees that are hanging down in the streets that's, you know, blocking stop signs. If you don't know there's a stop sign there, you would, you know, run through it because of the trees.
Okay, I know we did, in our work in the 5th, we did from 30 3rd to Ridge and from Broadway back east. So that would certainly not include Jefferson. I have a small crew. So this is 36. Tell me the location again, ma'am.
Pardon me, 36 in Jefferson and Ridge Road there. I had turned the report in already to the General Service. I do have a case. I was just wondering when they were going to get to it.
As soon as possible, but I'm going to escalate it. So hopefully before the end of the week, I can get somebody out to this location. Okay? But I'm not clear. I got the 36 in Jefferson, the Ridge Road, and give me a...
Ridge Road and Jefferson, they have the stop sign there. Needs have gone up high, and it's also water hydrant there.
Okay, I got you.
Rachel, I have a question. I've had the same problem for years, and they came out just before winter started a year ago, and they said they start putting the slag in, but they ran out of slag before they can get right to my area. And because I have a truck that I have to take out to the alley, the whole potholes are so bad that no one has come back in those 2 years.
So Teresa, right?
Yes.
Are you talking potholes or grading, or give me your address if you don't mind.
519 East 43rd.
519 East 43rd. Okay. And this is it's the alley behind it, obviously.
The alley behind me.
Okay.
And I've been trying for years to get them to, as much taxes as I pay, I feel like that alley should be paved. Not just not put a little slag down, and then when the dump trucks come or they come and throw everything down, then I still can't get out of my yard. Because there was a house behind me that was in the alley at first. And so I can't think of his name right now, but I have it written down. He came and they kind of cleared back as far as they could, but it's a house on that property in the front part. So when you get to the edge of the alley, there's a huge pothole that has never been fixed and is still there now because it holds the water. But it's the weeds are so bad right there. I just don't understand how come they just don't grade it. The house has been empty all these years. There was never anybody in there when I moved over here. So it's still there, but they're some of the neighbors that moved back, they're throwing couches over the fence at the house. And I'm the one who have to deal with all this. The raccoons are, they jump over the fence in my yard. Every night you hear them hitting the recycle bin. So it's kind of sad that all that stuff needs to come down. And Mr. Williams did come out, and I did a walkthrough with him, and he's seen what I was talking about.
Okay. I have your address down here. So, and if you want to send me a follow-up email, I'd be happy to have that. But we'll take a look at 519 East 43rd Alley as well. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Ms. Morgan.
Yes.
This is Julian Carr again. Do you know when we're going to have the 52nd Avenue trees cut back? It's pretty dense over there.
Yeah. Ooh, I know. So
it's along the bike trail. It's pretty thick.
Yeah.
Very thick.
I know. It's thick. What I can tell you, until we really get a grip on these trees that are literally on the ground and in houses, I don't see that we'll be able to. If there is an opportunity for us to come and just do a cutback, and I'm trying to think of if this is something that a Tiger, if any of you are familiar with heavy equipment that has that arm could do. That might be something that we might be able to do sooner rather than later. That's 50. Give me the boundaries again for that location.
It's 52nd Avenue.
It's 52nd Avenue
and Madison.
From what to Madison? I didn't hear the first one.
Broadway to Madison.
Broadway to Madison?
Yes.
Okay. I will have my Tiger operator take a look at that area because he is still part of the small cutting crew that we have activated. And if that's something that he can do, then by all means, we'll get that done. you know, while we're doing the big tree project. So we'll take a look at that as well.
Great.
Ms. Morgan, I wanted to address the cutting at Lew Wallace. Now, doesn't the city own Lew Wallace now? Mr. Williams? Does
The Lew Wallace is still owned by the school corporation.
Oh, they are? Oh, okay.
Yes, all of our abandoned schools are still owned by the school corporation. I have made it a special effort of mine to focus on Lew Wallace. We did a project, a cleanup project when COVID first started, like right in the middle of COVID. And I went over there. I want to thank, I don't know, he's not on this Zoom, but Paul and several other individuals and Rachel, along with General Services, came over and helped us to cut back the grass, pick up the trash. Someone had dumped a hot tub out there. We picked that up. We cut back a lot of.
We were there. We were helping.
Okay, thank you. So, I mean, it's like she said, we need you guys to help us. All right. If you assist us with cleaning up an area, or you see us clean up an area, try to keep an eye on that area, because they want to come back and dump in that area again. Now, we've been blessed that they haven't come back and done it in Lew Wallace. So we're trying to stay ahead of the grass cutting, the football field, the baseball field. And we're doing a decent job with that for this summer, considering it is COVID-19. I had made other arrangements for that work to help out with General Services, but again, it's COVID-19. And those individuals with the Lake County Sheriff's Department.
Well, they still dump at Lew Wallace.
They still dump.
But we have every Friday cleanup.
Okay.
Our community does. We have every Friday cleanup. We go over there with our bags and gloves, and we clean up the track, the bleachers, all that, because they're stripping the bleachers. They even climbed up on the dome and took the copper off the dome. We took pictures, sent everything into 311. No one's responded, but that's all we do is take pictures and send them to 311. And I guess it goes to different departments, but no one's ever responded.
Well, Lew Wallace is a major concern of mine, because since I've been in office, there's been 4 fires in that building. And I've walked through 2 of them with the fire department.
Absolutely.
It's relentless, and it's just idiot. It's just some idiot running up inside that school. Every time we board it up, they get back in there and they just start a fire. I believe there was one. Was it last week or the week before last?
Week before last.
Yeah. So it's to me, Lew Wallace is it's on my radar. I'll just leave it at that. We will discuss Lew Wallace later in the going towards the rest of our community meetings, but Lew Wallace is scheduled for demolition.
Well, you have your derelicts is over there every evening. It's about 12 of them. And, we call the police. They come out, they say, well, they're not doing anything, so they can't do anything about it. However, they go over to the bleachers, and you don't think they're doing anything, but they're removing those bleachers that are over there. We've taken pictures and sent them in. But the officer said that they can't do anything because they're not doing it right then.
Right.
So.
And they're I would think they're trespassing onto private property, which is not owned by the city, as Councilman pointed out. So to your point of a 311 entry, and the new administration has done, I believe, a great job at holding the school district accountable. But and I know Councilman Williams is working on different ways to get them more engaged. They are starting to cut. For a long time, they weren't even cutting properties at these abandoned schools. So we're seeing some progress, but that's who we need to direct our school issues to. I think Franklin School, Councilman, well, as a matter of fact, I know Franklin is owned by the city and part of the University Park East deal, but you're right, the rest are still owned by the Gary Community School Corporation.
Yeah.
Well, according to the city, we called the office, City Hall, and they said no. The school city doesn't own the property. We had to meet with you, Mr. Williams, and the mayor. We thought that you all said that the city owned it. Then we called the city to report it all. They said if they don't own it, that someone bought the school.
No,
so
that's a rumor.
All these rumors around. So now, which is it? Did someone buy the school?
No, ma'am, that's a rumor.
Okay, that's not true. Okay, but it's still owned by City Corp. Okay, I mean that school corp.
And again, I want to say it one more time, Lew Wallace is up for demolition. I can't speak on the date, but it is coming forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, let me address one thing. They said that it's going to be, they did say you all did. However, there's a rumor that there's going to be low-income housing built over there. Is that true?
No, ma'am. That's a rumor.
Okay, good. Ooh. Okay, got a sweat. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for Ms. Caesar? No? Okay. Janice, did we get the representative from Public Works with Marinetta Barber? Is Derek Hudson, Code Enforcement, is he here?
Derek Hudson is here, yes.
Yes, I am.
All right. Everyone, we're going to move forward to this gentleman here. He is Code Enforcement. So, Derek, can you introduce yourself?
I am Inspector Hutton Kinsey. I am the inspector for 2nd District, but I am you guys' speaker for today. I used to have the 6th District when I first came on about 1.5 years ago. And but now that that was back when we had 2 inspectors, well, 4 inspectors, and 1 inspector would have to have 2 districts at a time. But now we have an inspector for each district. The 6th District inspector, his name is Brandon Hinkle. Councilman Williams knows him quite well. He is very receptive and very responsive whenever he gets called. So basically, going forward, what we've been doing is we've been prioritizing the dumping. We've been doing more thorough investigation of dumping sites. Myself and the team has been out early morning or late in the afternoon, going through trash, trying to find any nook and cranny or anything that looks like something that'll be identifiable. That way we can get these guys in court. I can't tell you that we've gotten several, we've caught several people in the past 2 weeks, just dumping in the area. We have them set for court next month. But specifically, we've been going through dump sites. We haven't been able to tow because of the COVID-19 crisis, but the moratorium on that should be ending in the next week. So we will be towing more cars with expired plates. We are towing cars that don't have any plates, but cars with expired plates will begin to get towed again. Right now, outside of the focus on dumping, we have been hitting businesses very hard. When the administration first came on, the emphasis was on these tire shops like you spoke on earlier. Any automotive business without any tire manifest. That's how you keep track of who has been dumping tires, what business has been dumping tires, because if a company has no tire manifest and they have no way to dispose of the tires, so obviously they will have to dump. So we've been keeping those businesses responsible and making sure that they have their tire manifest. With that being said, we've been focusing on people who's been not keeping up their grass, people who we've been doing grass and dumping grass and parking on the grass. That's been a big issue, and because we have a lot of people coming in from Illinois or out of state, that they don't know the municipal rules that you can't park on your grass or park in your front or back lawn. So we've been paying a lot of attention and focus on that too.
Okay. So, as you said, you used to be our 6th District Code Enforcement Officer. I will explain to everyone right now, we do have 2 Code Enforcement Officers for the 6th District. We have Mr. Brandon Hinckley, who he spoke of earlier. Brandon covers the entire 6th District. His partner, it's because of the income sensitivity level with Morningside. they have to have their own code enforcement officer because the site does not fit into the grant. So we have a gentleman that takes care of Morningside as well as the first district. We actually have 2 individuals to help us.
His name is Mr. Robert Brinston.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few numbers. You can contact code enforcement at 219-881-1377. You can contact me personally at 219-293-0385. And you can email me at dhutton@gary.gov.
Hutton,
I
spell your
didn't mean to cut you off. HUTTON.
Hey, Brandon.
And I like to commend code enforcement because I did a complaint and it was taken care of. As a matter of fact, Ms. Millie drove out to look at, and also Councilman Williams, I'd like to thank you for your cooperation. But I still have some concerns about businesses along Broadway that's not cutting their grass, that's not taking care of their businesses look like they're thriving, but they're not keeping up their property. So what is code enforcement doing about the businesses that's not keeping up their property?
So the way that we keep our teeth when it comes to holding businesses accountable, we use the citation process where we can charge up to $2,500. Usually, generally speaking, we charge up to $500 for high weeds and grass. But because of the unique circumstances that the COVID-19 situation, we had been using businesses not being able to renew their Gary business license as a way of holding them accountable. So we were not going to renew their business license unless they passed a proper inspection. The proper inspection is just having a clean and well-maintained area. If you see that a company or a business is not holding their responsibility of keeping their area maintained, please take pictures. Please take pictures. You can email them either to me personally. You can create a 311 ticket with the emphasis on code enforcement. Make sure that they have tagged code enforcement in the 311 ticket because we don't want that to go somewhere else. Or you can take those pictures. You can shoot them a text message to me, that number I gave you, and I'll make sure that gets taken care of.
Okay, so if I email it to, I have Ms. phone number, so if I send it to her, she'll make sure that you get it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. I'm sorry. My name is Sheila. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Ms.
I have a couple of dilemmas myself, residents. Okay, at 328 East 43rd. The grass is so high and there's so much debris and dumping. I wouldn't be surprised if there are 2 or 3 bodies stacked on top of each other. It's that ridiculous. Please take this address down and go look at it.
Can you repeat the address for me, ma'am?
328 East 43rd.
328
East 43rd Avenue.
All right, man. We go take a look at that.
Okay. Also, right across the street from my house, been there for about 6 months. Call police all the time. It's a guy have his car parked in his yard. Up to his steps. It's unbelievable, and he won't move it. It's just parked right up to his sidewalk, to his step.
And what's the address of that?
His address is 4220 Van Buren. It's right across the street from mine. My address is 4217 Van Buren. Behind my house, as other people, we go through the garage to get in, it is an old garage has fallen in, and people have been dumping. Can you please, I beg of you, go look at that and do something about it.
You said there's a house where the garage is filling in?
Yes, it's the garage is, the house is on Jackson and the garage is behind my house. I live on 4217 in Buren, so it's in the back of my house.
Okay, give me 1 second. So is the garage yours or your neighbor's?
Oh, no, it's not mine. I keep my property way up. No, that's not mine. It's across the alley from mine. So the house faces Jackson, but the garage is right next behind my garage.
Okay. You know the address on that house?
It's behind 4217 Van Buren.
4217 Van Buren?
Yes, it's right behind there. And of course, yes, they dumped their mattress and everything laying out there.
So this is the process, ma'am. So when we go out to that site and we investigate and we sift through the dumping to find any identifiable information to tell us like who could have possibly dumped it. If we don't find any identifiable information, then we will have to cite the property owner. If the property owner isn't paying their taxes, then we're in quite a dilemma. So what happens after that is we contact General Services to put it on the list to be picked up, and we patrol that area. We patrol that area more to see if because most people who do those dumpings don't just do dumping one time, to see if they are repeat offenders.
Okay, I appreciate it. Be sure to look at 328 East 43rd. Right next door is it's a field. Well, it looks like a field now, and it's unbelievable. I mean, I wouldn't dare walk past there at nighttime. And daytime either. I don't know what might jump out.
All right, ma'am. I just took that address down, and we'll get over there in probably the next couple of days.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it so much. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Mr. Hutton. Mr. Hutton.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is Julian Carr again. We have a similar issue in the 5000 block of Washington Street, where a gentleman is always parking his car or his truck up to his steps as well. But not only that, but there's all kinds of junk he has piled up in front of his house. Now, I was told that the inspectors had went down there, well, came down that street a couple weeks ago, and I'm just wondering, did anybody see it? You can't miss it. I don't know the exact address. I think it's either 5067 Washington. I know it's on the east side of the street, but you can't miss all that junk in front of the house.
Okay. I would have to see, because I would have to see what you're referring to, because junk can be subjective. But if it is a lot of debris and unnecessary
when I say
storage,
junk, I mean it would be four-wheelers, trailers, utility trailer, just stuff piled up.
Okay.
He has a backyard, so I don't know why he doesn't use it.
Okay.
My neighbor Herbs, he's going down to get the exact address. So.
Okay. Yeah. If you can take pictures of that and send those pictures in, then that'd be wonderful. We will go out and investigate it, but it could be written up expediently if you guys send pictures.
All right, we'll do that.
Keep in mind, whenever you call me and tell me about a dumping or anything that takes place in the 6th district, and I go out and I take a look at it, like tomorrow morning, I'm going to look at something with another resident. The first thing I do, take photos. That's the first thing I do. I take photos, I put in an email, and I send it to Rachel, or I send it to, to the code enforcement officers to go out and take a look at it as well. Brandon Hinkle is our officer again. So he and I have a very close relation. He has sent me photos as late as 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. So take a picture. Please take a picture and include that with the email or the text message to code enforcement officer or general services. Okay.
I want to re-stress what he's saying. Please take pictures. Please take pictures. Do it as safely as you possibly can. Do not put yourself in danger trying to take a picture. But if you see somebody dumping, or if you see it in the act, that is the best way to get these people in court and charged to the fullest extent of the law.
Any more questions for him? None? Okay. I don't know who's left here. Jake, I think you're the last one, the last guest. I want to thank you for your time with this Zoom meeting. All right, so if you want to relieve yourself, go ahead, and I want to say something to the residents that are still here.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. Okay. As the chief police said, he's not going to tell me where the cameras are. We do have cameras. We do have cameras. He said a few, we have a lot. All right. Those cameras are going to go up in place. What I'm doing right now is working with a gentleman to put together a web page for the 6th district that will connect into 311, so that if you log into our website, it'll go straight into 311. All right, and it'll provide you a lot of community information and other resources. So again, that should be ready hopefully by mid-September or by the end of September. All right. So if you have anything that you'd like to add to this meeting, please at this time feel free.
But first, I'd like to thank you, Councilman Williams, for putting this meeting together, because it was very well long past overdue. Mm-hmm. So we can all get to know one another in terms of who lives within our community.
Yes.
And express our concerns about getting our community cleaned up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. One thing I want to say, which was spoken by the chief of police at the beginning of the meeting, please be safe. We are still in the middle of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't know the health of everybody on this Zoom meeting. Myself, I have to watch out for my health as well. You know, we are all living in a city that we are aging in place, and just be careful. Just be careful. If you have a site that he said, hey, get a picture. If you don't feel comfortable getting the picture, call me. I'll come get the picture. I've had a lot of people tell me, hey, what are you doing? And I just redirect them right back in the house. Or I'll bring a police officer with me. Mm-hmm. So if you don't feel comfortable taking the picture, call me. I'll take the picture. I'll send it in. Janice, what's the next date for the meeting?
It is September 17th.
Are we going to use
17th.
the same
Which
number?
is a Thursday.
Repeat yourself, Jan.
Are we using the same number?
Janice?
It'll be a different meeting ID number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
want to thank you.
You see to it that we get that, because the information that we got for this meeting, we had to get it from our neighbor. And
yeah.
And our neighbors aren't even on the call, but we got it from them. So if you could just, send it out or do whatever you need to do, post it somewhere.
Can you give her your phone number?
I certainly can. You ready to write?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. If you wanted to be on the robocalls, because I'm not sure how many people receive the robocall, what I can do is you can call me at, let me give you my number. My name is Janice, Janice White. My phone number is 219 777-558-8.
Okay.
And if you want to be a part of the robocall that Councilman Williams will send out before the meetings, please call that number and provide me with your phone number and name.
I'll do that. I will
Okay.
do that. Thank you so much.
Could you repeat that, please?
It is
219?
219-777-5588.
Okay, can I request a text or an email instead of a call? If you,
For
for the
what?
number, for the ID number?
You know, well, I'll see what I can do. Call me.
I'll call you.
Yeah, call me regarding that. Yes, thank you.
If you call me this time, I'm all right. I'm on the robocall list, right?
I'm not sure if you're on that. You know, I'll have to look at my Excel spreadsheet to see if you're on there. But if
I
you're
mean,
not,
I got a call for this meeting.
oh yes,
so-
yes. I'm sorry. Yes, if you got a call, you're on the list. Yes.
Okay. Thank you and good night.